One, two, three. Let's start the show.
We are living in a volatile political environment. You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorable.
Come on, man.
If the Trump administration approves a vaccine before or after the election, should Americans take it, and would you take it?
If the public health professionals, if Dr. Fauci, if the doctors tell us that we should take it, I'll be the first in line to take it. Absolutely. But if Donald Trump tells us that we should take it, I'm not taking it.
Come on, man. And if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
It was a debate.
Oh, yes. Welcome, everyone. Oh, well, hold on. Before I make my opening remarks here, let me just grab this and just like, let's hear it. Let's hear it. Oh, it didn't give me the snap I wanted. But if anybody's wondering, that's the sound of me not having to work later today. You know, feels great. Because when I usually record these episodes, I'm recording them, I want to say maybe by, 11 o'clock. If I'm running late, maybe 12. And I get done recording and I'm out the door to work. Which sucks. I don't get to enjoy myself. So here's to me enjoying myself. That's tasty. No Lie is the beer company here. I think they're out of Spokane, Washington. Oh, yeah, that is tasty. Wow. Cascade Fog. Anybody wants to go buy that? I approve. And for the audio listeners out there, they can't see, but the YouTube viewers can. I got a new camera angle here. Because the other day I was kind of critiquing myself because that's what I like to do. I'm my biggest critic. I was watching. I was like, man, when I have the camera at an angle looking at me, I just don't feel any connect. And when I do stare at the camera, I start to feel the connect. And then once I look away from the camera, the connect's gone. So I felt like there wasn't enough intimacy here. So I put the camera in front of me, kind of Jimmy rigged it, and now it's hanging up in front of my screen. That way I can get intimate with you. Anyways, welcome everyone to another episode of the Deplorable Talk Show. You are here with Mr. Deplorable himself, Israel Perez. So, has anyone checked on China lately?
Hi.
Jesus. What we just witnessed was a walk-by sanitation. It's getting hard out there in the streets of China, people. All right, well, moving on. So, today's big lead topics will be about the Democratic Party's priorities during a baby formula shortage and the Buffalo shooting lies that the corporate media is feeding you. No. And since there's a lot to cover today, we will be diving right into the topics. I want to try and make this at least in somewhat underneath an hour. And if I add a whole bunch of other stuff in, it's not going to happen. Also, we have a new segment today. It's called the Jones Report, and you'll see what that is later. And I'm excited about it. It should be fun. It's going to be a fun way to end this heavy episode. So, like I said earlier, baby formula shortages. And if you don't know, well, there's a baby formula shortage happening. And on May 10th, Data Assembly reported that baby formula shortages were at a 43% nationwide. And it also states here that we had a 30% deficit in baby formula in April. So that means that this didn't just happen out of nowhere. It wasn't just something like, boop. We saw this coming. So that begs the question, why did we let it get so bad? Do you remember when they said 2 weeks to slow the curve? Then it escalated into shutting down the entire country for a little more than a year. That obviously halted supply chains, and then we realized, oh, that was a bad idea. So we then reopened imports, putting a strain on the supply chain, and then workers such as truck drivers, dock workers, and logistic coordinators were afraid to return to work. And instead of praising employees who did return to work, and then maybe offering incentives for workers on the fence about returning to work, as well as money spent on recruiting people to apply for these jobs, we concentrated on vaccine mandates. Companies turned away willing employees because they wanted to be woke. Companies bowed to the Biden administration, which told them that even though the Supreme Court ruled that a vaccine mandate was unconstitutional, they should still go ahead with it because it was the right thing to do, And all that led to this. Let's bring this up. Boom. The baby formula shortage highlights the delicate nature of the food supply chains. And if we scroll down here, it reads, the formula shortage stems from an ongoing pandemic-related supply chain snags. Manufacturers are facing difficulty in procuring key ingredients, such as cow's milk, as well as shortages in packaging and labor. Like many areas of U.S. food manufacturing, the infant formula industry is highly concentrated and dominated by just a few major players. These manufacturers compete on price, and so efficiency is crucial. Said, and I'm not even going to try and say her name, because I'm just going to fuck it up. A supply chain professor at University of Minnesota Carlson School of Management. In other words, there can't be extra supply or backstock since that is costly. In contrast, clothing manufacturers compete more on what's fashionable at the moment than on cost. So the main challenge is getting to market quickly rather than producing efficiently, she said. And that's down here. As a result, any disruption of food-related supply chains can cause huge problems where consumers will feel the effect immediately. Well, unfortunately, we can't blame it all on the Biden administration, even though they played a big role, in my opinion. So there are a couple other key players in this shortage. One is a company called Abbott. And if we bring up this, Abbott voluntarily recalls powdered formulas manufactured at one plant. Abbott is initiating a proactive voluntary recall of powder formulas, including Similac, Augmentium, and Elcare, manufactured in Sturgis, Michigan. One of the company's manufacturing facilities. The recall does not include any metabolic deficiency nutrition formulas. Abbott is voluntarily recalling these products after 4 consumer complaints related to Chronobacter Sakazaki, said it right, and Salmonella Newport in infants who had consumed powder infant formula manufactured in this facility. Additionally, as part of Abbott's quality processes, we conduct routine testing for Chronobacter Sakazaki and other pathogens in our manufacturing facilities. During testing in our Sturgis, Michigan facility, we found evidence of Chronobacter Sakazaki in the plant in non-product contact areas. We found no evidence of Salmonella Newport. This investigation is ongoing. Well, by the way, you guys don't know, Chronobacter Sakazaki and Salmonella Newport, those are serious diseases. It's not like it's like, oh well. The fatality rate of Chronobacter Sakazaki is in the range of like 50 to 80%. Salmonella Newport has a fatality rate of 38%, and has a resistance to various drugs. How How do you let that happen inside of a manufacturing laboratory? And I don't mean to laugh at that. I just don't. It's surprising. It's baffling that they let that happen. It's like, oh, whatever. We found some. You think there would be strict methods and procedures from start to finish in testing for dangerous bacteria. At least, right? So let's bring this up. Chronobacter salmonella symptoms explained as baby formula linked to second death. So, 2 babies died. Jesus. You might be thinking, there is no way this one recall had that big of an effect on the baby formula shortages. Which, you would be right, but it didn't help, right? And what also didn't help is that there are only 4 companies manufacturing baby formula. Monopolies and the baby formula shortage. Scroll down here. It's right here what we're looking at. Oh, you can't see my cursor on there, but it's right here underneath the chain. All right. As of 2018, 4 companies, Abbott, which makes Similac. I always get this name wrong. I don't even think I'm going to say it wrong right now. Reckitt's and Kaiser, I think is how you say it, makes Enfamil. Nestle, it makes Gerber, and Perrigo makes store brand formula. They control about 89% of the U.S. market. Any disruption to one of their products will be magnified, whether it's a recall for Similac or inability to source ingredients. A few companies in the market relying on the same sources creates a much more fragile supply chains. No shit, huh? So, from reading that, my assumption of why we ended up here is that the pandemic created a supply chain shortage for these 4 companies that source ingredients from the same place. No, and since these companies had limited supply, that means they produced a lesser amount of product. And then one of these 4 companies, Abbott, had to recall every single one of their products, which then put a higher demand on the other 3 that were barely keeping up with their current demand. Now that brings up this question. Why are there only 4 companies manufacturing baby formula in the United States? Well, the answer is FDA regulations. And yes, regulations are good. But when they are so fucking strict that it hinders any small company trying to compete with the monopoly, it becomes a problem. If the FDA was so fucking good at their job, why did Abbott have to voluntarily recall their formula? The FDA should have caught it before it even happened. They are obviously not performing routine audits on these companies. Also, when European baby formula companies want to break into the market and start selling their baby formula in the United States, the FDA recalls their products because it doesn't have enough iron. Baby formula recalled for not meeting FDA standards, not having enough iron. Able Group is recalling some infant formula for not meeting Food and Drug Administration standards. So, the FDA can catch a company that doesn't have enough iron inside of their baby formula, but they can't catch a company here in the United States on sanitation issues. And here's another thing. We could fix this. We could fix this shortage if the FDA would relax some of their requirements, like their labeling guidelines. The FDA could easily solve the baby formula shortage by allowing more imports from Europe. And let's scroll down here. The biggest contributor to the formula shortage is the FDA itself, whose restrictive requirements for importing formula stand in the way. Especially onerous are the FDA's rigid labeling and nutritional requirements for formula containers, which prohibit the sale of many European-made products, even though the formula themselves meet the FDA nutritional and purity standards. Okay. And here's the icing on the cake. The FDA did an inspection on September 29th, 2021 of the Abbott facilities, and they had 6 citations. So, and we're going to bring up this, their findings here. And for whatever reason, the FDA dashboard doesn't like to work, and I have to refresh the page in order for the contents on the page to show up. Their shit sucks. So let me get this refreshed again because it just didn't want to show it again. Come on, you got it. Oh, there we go. There we go. Get a better website. Jesus. So let's bring this up here, all right? So we're only going to read about 3 of these citations because they're the important ones, and just it's aggravating, is what it is. So the first citation here: personal hand washing, and if you look up here, the FEI number is 1815692. It's obviously from the FDA, Abbott Laboratories, DBA Abbott Nutrition. So first citation: personal hand washing, and it reads: personnel working directly with infant formula is its raw materials, packaging, or equipment or utensils, contact surfaces did not wash hands thoroughly in a hand washing facility at a suitable temperature after the hands may have become soiled or contaminated. Jesus. That's basic shit. How do you get a citation on hand washing? Oh, no. All right. Next one. Second citation on here: maintaining building in clean sanitary condition. And that one's self-explanatory, so I don't think I'm going to read the long description here. Ears are itchy. And then the third one we're going to talk about here is the citation right here that says thermal process frequency monitor temperature. You did not monitor the temperature in a thermal processing equipment at a frequency as is necessary to maintain temperature control. What? Man, so this is the thing. I work for a company that serves hot food and cold food, right? And in the holding cases, it has to stay at a certain temperature on both the hot side and the cold side. So that way the food within the cases don't either climb up in temperature or drop below a certain temperature, which would fall in what it's called the danger zone. All right. Because if that food falls within the danger zone, then it gives a situation for bacteria to start growing in the food that could potentially make somebody sick or kill somebody. Now, if one product in that case falls below a certain temperature, they will throw everything. It doesn't matter if everything else still tempt okay. They're just like, oh, well, one fell. That means everything's disqualified. And they get a citation. Sorry, I'm fucking just baffled here. They get a citation on temperature control. They're a fucking laboratory. They should have a machine that's constantly monitoring the temperature. And if it drops below a certain temperature, they get dinged and say, hey, it's getting really close to a temperature that we shouldn't have at. You shouldn't have this at. Like, Jesus. And if the FDA had done their job, we could have avoided this. If they had followed up on these citations, perhaps those babies would still be alive and there would not have been a baby formula shortage. And that's giving a lot. The baby formula shortage might have happened, but, it probably wouldn't be as bad as it is right now. So, to wrap this all up, what has the Biden administration done to mitigate this problem? Well, as of 5/20, the House passed 2 bills to help out with the shortages. And we'll see how that turns out in the Senate. I know one bill did pass. I don't remember what it said. But I do know it's nothing like groundbreaking that's going to help solve this problem. And then the other bill that they were trying to pass, there's the Democrats like shoehorned a whole bunch of other shit into it. So obviously, no, the Republicans said no, which then it makes the Republicans look bad because they're like, oh, they don't want to help out starving kids. It's like, fuck you, you know? Also, a shipment of 35 tons of baby formula arrived Sunday in Indianapolis, but that doesn't fix the problem, right? Only prolongs it. So, in my opinion, it's a little too late. You know, we had a chance to be proactive, but we chose to be reactive. You know, we chose to put America second, you know, because when this news was breaking out about the baby formula shortage, what were the Democrats doing? You know, oh, they were drafting a bill to send $40 billion in aid to Ukraine. House passes a $40 billion more in Ukraine aid with few questions asked. That was on May 10th, 2022. If we bring up this other article, all right, I don't want to subscribe to you, New York Times. You've done your job. And this is the article that I had up before. Nationwide out of stock is now at 43% for week ending May 8th. And that was written on May 10th, 2022. You know, and every single House Democrat voted yes for this. So if you just bring this up, 219 Democrats vote yes. 2 didn't vote. Every single one. The Democrats don't give a fuck about you. The only time the Democrats give a damn is when you're useful to their agenda. And now, yeah, on there, 149 Republicans voted yes. However, what you have to do is you have to look up your House representatives in your district, and if they voted yes on this bill, primary them. They are neocons that don't deserve to be in office. You know? And especially when inflation is at an all-time high, gas prices are over $4 a gallon, and mothers can't feed their babies, and then they send $40 billion to Ukraine? Get the fuck out of here. No, let's let the redhead take us out.
America last by shipping pallets of baby formula to the southern border as American families face empty shelves. She says this is unacceptable. Do you have a response to that?
Well, we do like facts here, so let me just give you a little sense of the facts on this one. There's
Thanks,
something
Saki.
called the Flores Statement Settlement, which she may or may not be aware of, that's been in place since 1997. It requires adequate food and elsewhere specifies age appropriateness, hence formula for kids under the age of 1. CBP is following the law, that law that has been in place and been followed, by the way, by the past every administration since 1997. So this has been a law in the United States for a quarter century. It's been followed by every administration. But I would also note that we also think it's morally the right thing to do. You know, this is a difference from the last administration. It is the law, but we believe that when children and babies, or babies I should say, are crossing the border with a family member, that providing them formula is morally right. And so we certainly support the implementation of it.
Just one last question. The governor's
Okay. I see. So, the allegations of us having a surplus at the baby formula at the borders is true. You know, and when that first came out, I remember reading the tweet and I was just like, oh shit, if this is true, this is fucked up. And then you had Democrats coming out and be like, oh, that's not true. It's just the far right making up shit again. And then they come out and say this, you know? So it was true. America's second. You know, that should be Biden's campaign slogan, not Build Back Better. The fuck out of here. All right. Well, let's move on to the next story, which is equally upsetting, but for different reasons. So, let me just make sure this is full here, because it looked like it was kind of off-centered when we were watching that. So, if you don't already know, You're about to find out. Peyton S. Gendron, Gendron, is his last name. He's 18 years old. Shot 13 people, killing 10 at a Tops supermarket on May 14th in Buffalo, New York. Now, I can't even comprehend the grief of the victim's family, nor the life-changing impact that this event will have on the survivors and the community. No, it was an egregious event, but what was equally egregious is the media and Democrats immediately jumping on this and using it as a political ploy to blame Republicans and the right wing for the actions of this kid. So, Rolling Stones writes, the Buffalo shooter isn't a lone wolf. He's a mainstream Republican. The right-wing extremists who control the modern GOP are all gripped by racist delusions. The shooter is just the last to act on it. Okay. Big statement there, Rolling Stones. You don't have a good track record either. And here's MSNBC, trying to twist the words of Tucker Carlson, and blaming conservative medias for the beliefs of the gunmen. Let's give this a watch.
If you do not consume a lot of conservative media, it can be easy to underestimate just how much it is pumping a particular dark conspiracy into viewers' minds, hour after hour, day in, day out. One of the most prominent conservative hosts with one of the largest platforms is pushing the racist idea that white people are under threat of extinction. Of course, it is all a Democratic plot.
The Democratic Party is trying to replace the current electorate, the voters now casting ballots, with new people, more obedient voters from the third world. In political terms, this policy is called the Great Replacement, the replacement of legacy Americans with more obedient people from faraway countries. It is the secret to the entire immigration debate. Demographic change is the key to the Democratic Party's political ambitions. They're trying to change the population of the United States. And they hate it when you say that because it's true that the country's being stolen from American citizens as we watch. In other words, you're being replaced and there's nothing you can do about it. So shut up.
I like how they leave him on the lap there. It's maniacal.
So-called Great Replacement theory for a long time.
Okay.
It is the same, at its root, extreme ideology that motivated the gunman in Buffalo, New York, who murdered 10 people at a grocery store this weekend. But just to be clear, and I've seen people talk about Great Replacement, there's not some new theory here. It's just the same garbage that people have been spewing for literally hundreds of years. Just plain dirty racism. There's nothing particularly complicated or sophisticated about it, theoretically. As reporter Nick Confessore wrote recently in the New York Times, and part of one of a three-part series about Tucker Carlson titled American Nationalist, Carlson, quote, has constructed what may be the most racist show in the history of cable news. And joining me now is Nick Confessore, political investigator, reporter at the New York Times.
He
Staff writer
It's all Tucker Carlson's fault. No, he's spreading these racist conspiracy theories, and outlets like Fox News are giving him a platform to do it. Fucking damn, dude. You know what? I will give the host this. What he's doing is clever. He never really tells you what the Great Replacement theory is, nor does he show you clips of right-wing media hosts saying the Great Replacement. Now, they showed Carlson saying the Great Replacement, but it's out of context. He's talking about the theory itself. So the reason he does this is because he's trying to manipulate you, So when you hear them say replacement theory, it triggers racism in your mind. And then he shows clips of right-wing media hosts saying replacement, so you automatically start thinking they're spreading racism, And then he enters in this conversation with the New York Times journalist, which I cut it off right before that because we don't need to watch it. But they casually throw around that phrase and connect it to whatever they want to connect it with, and we'll be getting more into the Great Replacement theory in the next episode. But let's continue on here, huh? Oops, didn't mean to hit the microphone. The media is lying to you, okay? They are pushing a political agenda and are using this tragedy to fuel it, And in my opinion, if you're going to gaslight people, at least make sure it is something you can't disprove with a simple Google search. Because all you have to do is look up his manifesto, the shooter's manifesto, and immediately debunks what they're saying. You know, and of course, this loser wrote a manifesto, and unfortunately, we have to quote from it. You know, I will say this: it's 180 pages long, and trust me on this, it's more of a question than a manifesto. You know, he's no Ted Kaczynski, that's for sure. And for those who don't know, Ted Kaczynski is the Unabomber, and he wrote the manifesto about how technology is ruining, you know, our society, and it will be the fall of society once technology gets too big. But another conversation for another time. So that being said, I'm only going to show what I need to show. So if you want to read it, you'll have to go find it. It's not easy to find, but if you type the right things into Reddit, you'll find links. So first thing you have to read, that debunks what the media is saying. And let's bring this up here, huh? So it should just come up. Oh, of course, you know. Never there. Okay. And what you're greeted with is the black sun, which is a Nazi symbol. But let's scroll down here. So, what you need to know. All right. Okay. If there's one thing I want you to get from these writings, it is that white birth rates must change. Every day, the white population becomes fewer in number. To maintain a population, the people must achieve a birth rate that reaches replacement fertility levels. In the Western world, that is about 2.06 births per woman. I don't know where he comes with the 0.6, but okay. The only white country that reaches these levels is Argentina, which, I mean, I guess that makes sense. That's that's where all the Nazis fled to. But at a 2.247, I don't know why there's points there, but okay, let's keep on going. We'll just round down or round up, one of the two. But not in Europe, not in the rest of the Americas, not in Australia or New Zealand. White people are failing to reproduce, failing to create families, failing to have children. But despite the sub-replacement fertility rate, the population in the West is increasing rapidly. So, when right-wing media sources talk about replacement, they are not talking about white people getting replaced by ethnics. They are talking about the replacement of voters. You know, and here's racist Tucker Carlson saying just that.
The great replacement theory recently. It's everywhere in the last 2 days, and we're still not sure exactly what it is. Here's what we do know for a fact. There is a strong political component to the Democratic Party's immigration policy. We're not guessing this. We know this, and we know it because they have said so. They've said it again and again and again. They've written books on it, and monographs, and magazine articles. They've bragged about it endlessly. They talk about it on cable news constantly. And they say out loud, we are doing this because it helps us to win elections. That's not something they've said once. It's something they've gloated about again and again and again. And we think that's wrong. And in case you doubt us, here they are.
Show up, Tucker.
Blue wave is African American.
Oh, Jesus.
It's white, it's Latino, it's Asian Pacific Islander.
I hate that lady, man.
Who've been told that they are not worthy of being
She's gonna
here.
get kicked out of Georgia.
It's those who are documented and undocumented.
In a couple of presidential cycles, you'll be on election night. You'll be announcing that we're calling the 38 electoral votes of Texas for the Democratic nominee for president. It's changing.
Chance, dude.
It's going to become a purple state and then a blue state because of demographics.
The demographics of America are not on the side of the Republican Party. The new voters in this country are moving away from them, and instead they're moving to be independents or to even vote on the other side.
An unrelenting stream of immigration, nonstop. Folks like me who were Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority in the United States of America. Absolute minority. Fewer than 50% of the people in America from then and on will be white European stock. That's not a bad thing. That's a source of our strength.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? Source of our strength. What does that mean, Biden? He's probably gaffing there. But Democratic Party's agenda is they let illegal immigrants in with the hope of gaining more voters. The plan appears to be they bring in illegal immigrants and place them on our social programs, which provide them with free money, and then in exchange they vote Democrat during election season. Now, if you're yelling only American citizens can vote, that's not true. And let's bring this up. This is from Ballotpedia. And I think it's scroll down here, right? Oh yeah, right here. Boom. It's highlighted. Right there. Right there is where I'm reading from. 15 municipalities across the country allowed non-citizens to vote in local elections. As of January 2022, 11 were located in Maryland, 2 were located in Vermont, 1 was New York City, and the other was San Francisco, California. According to Pew Research Center, there were approximately 25 million non-citizens living in the U.S. as of 2017. That included 12.3 million permanent residents and 2.2 million temporary residents in the country with legal permission, and 10.5 million living in the country without legal permission. Whether their non-citizens should be allowed to vote is subject to debate. Sorry. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Because they can. And then you're probably saying it's like, well, they just get to vote in local elections, not our main elections for the presidency. It's like, no. So you don't know how the Electoral College works. So the way states get electoral votes is by population. So when we do the census, those 10.5 million illegal immigrants that are living in the country are sitting in the states that they probably came into. So they're sitting in California. They're in New York, right? They're sitting in, New Mexico or wherever. They then get counted in the census, which then ups their population count and gives them more electoral votes. California has way too many electoral votes than what they should have because they're counting the illegal immigrants that are currently living there. They shouldn't have that many electoral votes. Just saying. That's how that affects the presidential election. I don't want to fucking hear it. Anyway. Let's move on here. Jesus, it makes me mad. It does. It does. So, what else is there in the far right questionnaire? Read this up. All right. Are you a conservative? No. Conservatism is corporatism in disguise. I want no part of it. Word. Are you a homophobe, anti-LGBTQ? I believe that problems involving the LGB, drop the T, are very insignificant. If one is actually part of the LGB or LGB group and they are loyal to their people, that's fine with me. Transgenderism, however, is a mental illness and should be addressed as such. Are you a right-winger? Depending on the definition, sure. Are you a left-winger? Depending on the definition, sure. Are you a socialist? Depending on the definition. Worker ownership of the means of production? It depends on who those workers are. Their intentions, who currently owns the means of production, their intentions, and who currently owns the state of their intentions. I don't know what the fuck that means. But everything else that was said shows the allegations of him being a Republican or a conservative, like the Rolling Stone and the rest of mainstream media stated, is wrong. But he did believe in something. Let's get this to the next page here. Did you always hold these views? When I was 12, I was deep into communist ideology. Talk to anyone from my old high school and ask about me, and you will hear that. From age 15 to 18, however, I constantly moved farther to the right. And that's where the media comes in and they go, oh, you see, he was moving farther to the right. That's why he's a right-winger. I was like, no. Keep on reading, people. On the political compass, I fall in the middle, moderate, authoritarian left category. And I would prefer to be called a populist. Okay. And definition of populism, for those who don't know, is a political approach that strives to appeal to ordinary people who feel their concerns are disregarded by the establishment elite groups. So I suppose populism can be found in nationalism, a right-wing ideology that is balanced by capitalism, but populism is more prevalent in communism, liberalism, and socialism, all of which are left-wing ideologies. So let's continue on. Now, the big question. Was he a white supremacist? That matters, obviously, because it's like, see, he was a white supremacist. And according to his writings, yes, he was. So let's bring that up here, huh? Scroll down. So, are you a white supremacist? Yes, I would call myself a white supremacist. His words, not mine, okay? After all, which race is responsible for the world we live in today? Okay. I believe the white race is superior in the brain to all other races. Sure. Okay. No more of that. We're done there. Close that out. So, to bundle this all up, the left likes to shout about how the right is a racist and holds Nazi ideologies, right? But in reality, it is the left that has the history of racism, and the left is the ideology of the Nazi Party, not the right. So, during the Civil War, the Democratic Party represented in the South. The Democratic Party was against the civil rights movement, and don't take my word for it. Let's look at history.com. Scroll down here. The Democratic Party is one of the two major political parties in the United States and the nation's oldest existing political party. After the Civil War, the party dominated in the South due to its opposition to civil and political rights for African Americans. Here's to you. So, the leftist ideology was also the ideology of the National Socialist German Workers' Party, the Nazis.
Nazi ain't got no humanity.
Damn right. Socialism is in their name. And don't give me this bullshit that, the Nazi Party was a far-right movement. If that was the case, the Nazi Party would have believed in capitalism, not socialism. Now, you can make the argument that the reason they are far right is because they were a fascist dictatorship. However, historians disagree on where fascism falls on the political spectrum. And according to Britannica, let's bring that up, there has been considerable disagreements among historians and political scientists about the nature of fascism. Some scholars, for example, regard it as a socially radical movement with ideologies ties to Jacobians of the French Revolution, whereas others see it as an extreme form of conservatism inspired by the 19th century backlash against the ideals of the Enlightenment. So, nobody agrees on where fascism lands. I guess you could maybe have fascism in both parties, I guess. So, that them being fascist doesn't make them right wing. With that being said, all you have to do is look at the Nazi Party's 25-point program to find out where they stand on the political spectrum. No? And let's bring this up, courtesy of Wikipedia. They believed in the right to employment, which in the States is called a right to work, which means everyone gets an equal amount of pay for the equal amount of work. And that is highlighted right here. Well, I didn't highlight it, but it's right there. All right? And they believed in profit sharing for employees, which means over time, the employees get to own a portion of the company they work for. Right there, profit sharing. Where have I heard that at? Oh, every Marxist that has ever spoken on national news. Especially when they're marching for people to unionize. Anyways, they also believed in welfare. They had pensions set up for their elderly and extension of old age pension systems. And you can see right here a large scale of old age welfare. Just nothing wrong with it. Just pointing it out. They also believed in free education. And right here, National Education Program. Word. And just to top that all off, they also believed in free healthcare. Who advocates for free healthcare? Every single person part of the Democratic Party and, maybe some libertarians. Sounds like they fall in between liberalism and socialism to me. So, and now, mind you, Marxism and Nazism comes from the same place, Germany. Coincidence? And it's funny because the Germans didn't like Marxism. They thought it was a flawed system, which I agree with them, I guess. But what I also find coincidental is Hitler, Mao, and Che Guevara were all left-wing authoritarian racists. So, anyways, let's bring this other point up. Why this shooting? Why this tragedy? Is it because the only people that were targeted were black? Is it because the person that did this shooting was white? Now, that seems racist to me. And because there were many mass shootings that happened this year that the media briefly talked about. So let's bring those up, huh? Now, you're going to see Texas up here because that just happened. And we will be talking about that. Big fuck up. Big fuck up. But that's a conversation for another episode. So, the Buffalo shooting, 10 killed, 3 injured. All right? Next on the list, California, Sacramento, 6 killed, 12 injured. That wasn't talked about. Why? Oh, it's because it was a gang shooting. All right. So, cool. Next on the list, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, 6 killed. Well, why wasn't that talked about? Oh, because it was a gang shooting. They don't care. And then the next one down on that, Texas, Corsicana, 6 killed, 2 injured. Well, why didn't they talk about that one? Well, why didn't they blow it up the way they did with all these other ones? Oh, it's because it was a family massacre. Okay. No? Why aren't these held as atrocities? Why aren't these talked about? Why? Is it because they were not racially based, like the Buffalo shooting? But does race diminish them as tragedies? No. In my opinion here, the mainstream media is racist. The Democratic Party is racist because they only focus on race-based tragedies to further their agenda. So let's end this segment out, huh? And after reading this kid's manifesto, I feel sorry for him. I do. When I was his age, I had the same kind of thought process. And don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about committing a mass murder. That's not what I'm talking about at all. But I used to think that the Mexican race was the dominant race. When I would see Mexicans coupled up with whites, I would despise them. I would think they are ruining their bloodline, that white people are trying to breed us out of existence. The only way for Mexicans to become the dominant race is to breed with their own kind. And I was taught that by my own community. I was taught by my community that white people are evil. I was told by cinema that white people are against my skin color, that the white man took everything away from us, and someday we were going to rise up and take back what was rightfully ours. Viva la raza.
This is Quetzalcoatl, the great Aztec poet king. He ruled the kingdom of Aztlan that was from Mexico all the way up here to Califas.
Sexy mamazota.
Pay attention, pelao. I'm gonna teach you all about Aztlan, because this vato's coming back someday to reclaim the raza's kingdom.
Claim the raza's kingdom. Blood and Blood Out, by the way. It's a great movie. But picture them being white and saying that the Aryan is going to rise up someday and reclaim the Aryan kingdom. Sounds really bad when you replace the words, right? So, fortunately, I have parents who gave me a moral foundation, who took the time to talk to me about my surroundings and defrag what I was learning from society. My heart goes out to the families who had their loved ones taken away by this lost kid. This kid should be punished to the full extent of the law. And like I said earlier, we will be talking about the Texas shooting. Big fuck up. The police fucked up. And like I said, that's going to be in the next episode. So, but that concludes this, the big leads. So, let's hard segue out of this because I don't even know how to segue out of this depressing conversation. And let's get into a new segment called The Jones Report.
Oh, what's all this? This is ivermectin for humans that won a Nobel Prize as an antiviral. Nobel Prize winning for humans. Nobel Prize winning for humans. Nobel Prize winning for humans.
The Jones Report.
Yeehaw! Yeehaw! I turned into a Democrat. I took the ivermectin. Oh no, Fauci's right. I'm kind of retarded.
So, we will look at a take from Alex Jones in this segment because we know he's right 90% of the time. All the time. And I will verify the articles he pulls up and the random facts he throws out. And we were going to use NewsGuard to show you the editorial sites are legit. But for whatever reason, NewsGuard has temporarily suspended my account for reasons I don't know. And they have not gotten back to me. So you will just have to trust me when I say these editorial sites are legit. I did my research. And too bad for NewsGuard because this I'd be promoting them right now, right? Free promotion. They're not paying me. So this week's take is on how the UN and the WHO are weaponizing monkeypox. And yes, it's as bad as it sounds. So let's give this a watch, huh?
If you remember 3 years ago, we said the UN's going to release some type of bioweapon, probably a SARS-CoV type. That's what they're cooking up. We already had the documents then. They were up there bragging on C-SPAN, Peter Daszak and Fauci, that a big imminent thing was about to happen. It would change the whole world and blow up the FDA system and other systems and allow them to just get things approved instantly. And it would be mRNA. We played all those clips. And then later clips came out that I didn't know about that they'd said in 2019 about, yeah, we spliced all these viruses together and they described COVID-19 perfectly. And then we got the documents in the last year and a half from people that had worked with them that released the emails, and it came out in court that they specifically made COVID-19 and a bunch of other even worse viruses and tried to get the Pentagon to sign on to them releasing it into the open air in China. And the Pentagon, this is in the London Telegraph, folks. This is in the Associated Press now. the London Telegraph covered it in great detail, said that'll be war with China if you do that. So the reason I'm raising all that and the emails we showed and the articles and the video clips of them bragging beforehand is huge, and that all came out, and gain of function and Fauci lying, and it all just kind of blew away and people went back to sleep. Now, what they've done this time, the very same damn people, is so transparent, so pre-planned, so absolutely admitted that it is staggering. They have used our bodies as the engines to create the spike protein and infect others with a nanotech virus. On record they made.
Big if true, huh?
We just put the London Telegraph article up about it. It's a synthetic spike protein that replicates in the body. They can spray on you. And it doesn't act like a regular virus. It doesn't mutate. It just keeps replicating the poison. And they released a bunch of other viruses as well.
Okay. That's a big claim, huh? So let's take a look at this this article that he's talking about here. So this is from the London Telegraph. And if I had NewsGuard up, it would have told you that the London Telegraph has a score of 80 out of 100, which I don't remember how they fucking scored this shit. Fuck them. But anyways, let's read this article, huh? Wuhan scientists plan to release coronavirus particles into cave bats, leaked papers reveal. Documents reveal researchers applied for $14 million to fund controversial project in 2018. And this was written in September of 2021. So let's scroll down here. So, and what I'm going to do with this article is I'm going to read from it, but I am also going to shortly scroll, so that way if you want to read it yourself while I'm reading it, you can. But anyways, Wuhan and the U.S. scientists were planning to release enhanced airborne coronaviruses particles into Chinese bat population to inoculate them against diseases that could jump to humans. Leaked grant proposal dating from 2018 show. New documents show that just 18 months before the first COVID-19 case appeared, researchers had submitted plans to release skin-penetrating nanoparticles and aerosols containing novel chimeric spike proteins of bat coronaviruses into cave bats in Yunnan, China. Jesus. They also planned to create viruses genetically enhanced to infect humans more easily and requested $14 million from the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, also known as DARPA, to fund their work. All right. Papers confirmed as genuine by a former member of the Trump administration. So they were hoping to introduce human-specific cleavage sites to bat coronaviruses, which would make it easier for the virus to enter human cells. When COVID-19 was first genetically sequenced, scientists were puzzled about how the virus had evolved such a human-specific adaptation at the cleavage site on the spike protein, which is the reason it is so infectious. Go down here. The documents were released by Drastic, the web-based investigation team set up by scientists from across the world to look into the origins of COVID-19. In a statement, Drastic said, given that we find in this proposal a discussion of the planned introduction of human-specific cleavage sites, a review by the wider scientific community of the publicity of artificial insertion is warranted. The proposal also included plans to mix high-risk natural coronavirus strains with more infectious but less dangerous varieties. The bid was submitted by British zoologist Peter Daszak of Eco Health Alliance, which is Fauci's company, the U.S.-based organization, which has worked closely with the Wuhan Institution of Virology, researching bat coronaviruses. So, he wasn't lying, huh? One for Jones. So let's continue on here, huh?
The UN starts their meetings on the 23rd to the 28th in Switzerland, in Geneva. They signed a deal 2 weeks ago that the World Economic Forum will direct them. So private corporations are now in direct control of the UN. So this.
What? What? Okay, let's look that up, huh? What? So, let's bring this back up. Jesus. So, how the United Nations is quietly being turned into a public-private partnership. And this is from Open Democracy. I believe, if I remember right, it had like a 70 out of 100. Or it might have been higher. I don't know. I don't remember. So, a new agreement with the World Economic Forum gives multinational corporations influence over matters of global governance. Not good. And I don't know why you can't see that. Oh, cookies. Jesus. All right. There we go. Anyways, off to a good start. A new corporate and government marriage quietly took place last week when the leadership of the World Economic Forum and the United Nations signed a memorandum of understanding to partner with each other. While this MOU is proudly displayed on the WEF website, which is the World Economic Forum website, it is nowhere to be found on the UN website. The only indication on the UN website of this important new development is a picture of what pen used to sign the agreements and 2 pictures of the signing ceremony. Right again, Jones. Right again. Jesus. And then also, just because we ended on him stopping on an article, we're gonna look that article up as well. So, and just to show you, that's the article he stopped on. All right. So, open back up, open tabs. And we're not going to be reading from this article because Tyler Durden doesn't exist. Bad article to choose to sit there and show sources, dude. So we're just going to click on the source link with the where it's right there. It says authored by Mark Topscott via the Epic Times, and they're a little bit more credible. I do remember this one because I was just like, Jesus, why would you show this article? This got a score from NewsGuard of a 7.5 out of 100. So not good. Why would you show this? Anyways, this is why people don't take you seriously, Jones. All right, let's open this up. Let's open up the actual article we should be reading from. No, I don't want your subscription. All right. Biden seeks new unilateral powers for WHO chief to declare public health emergencies. All right. So it says President Joe Biden administration is pushing amendments to the World Health Organization, WHO, governing regulations to give Director General Tedros that's his whole last name. I'm not even going to read that because I don't know how to pronounce it. Unilateral authority to declare a public health emergency in any situation, in any nation, based on whatever evidence he chooses. The proposed U.S. amendments were forwarded to the WHO in January for consideration next week by the UN's 75th World Health Assembly in Geneva, Switzerland. In a Jan 26th letter to a virtual meeting of WHO's executive board, Lois Pace, Assistant Secretary for Global Affairs of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, described, quote, the importance of equity and equitable access to medical countermeasures and the negative impacts of misinformation and disinformation related to the pandemic We agree that we must all do better. So, he's 3-0 in my book right now. He's not lying when he's saying all this shit, Not lying whatsoever. But let's continue on, huh?
Which is a world government treaty putting the UN in control of the major Western militaries to enforce the new lockdown that'll make the last one look like a walk in the park, even compared to what you saw in places like Australia and New Zealand and Canada. So you have that going on, and what is their pretext going to be? And that's the new big story. And this has been going on for a few weeks. And back last year and earlier this year, I said it over and over again. I said these criminals always telegraph what they're going to do to hide it in plain view and to be confident to their criminal armies who are involved in this that they're going to get away with it. This is what psychos do. They love to brag. So, that's basic criminology. That's why in all the supervillain cartoons and Marvel cartoons and James Bond movies, the villain always monologues. And you think, why do they monologue? Well, because that's actually what villains do. When Lex Luthor's got or Superman tied up with kryptonite, he walks around and brags about it to him. They put that in fiction because that's how real criminology works. Okay? That's why Dr. Evil looks like Dr. Evil. That's why Dr. Evil looks like Klaus Schwab.
All right. Well, I'll say this, okay? I'll say this about Klaus Schwab. He's not wrong. He does look like Dr. Evil and sounds like a James Bond villain, and I'll show you a clip real quick just to verify what I'm saying, man. If you haven't seen Klaus Schwab, look him up. He runs the World Economic Forum. He has said statements as of, you will own nothing and be happy. They want to make us a renting society. And that's what they talk about every year at the World Economic Forum. And it's not a conspiracy theory like everybody will say. The Great Replacement. No, not the Great Replacement theory. What is it called? I forget what it's called, but it's like the Great Replacement theory. And he wrote a book with the name of what the actual conspiracy theory is called. But anyways, let's give a watch of Mr. Schwab over here.
The fourth industrial revolution is a combination of technological breakthroughs which will completely change business models, society, economies. Fourth industrial revolution is coming with enormous speed and will change not only what we are doing, but who we are.
There we go. There we go. But doesn't he sound like a James Bond villain? He does. He looks like one too. He looks like he should have a little monocle sitting in his eye. No, Bond. You just must merely die. Or however that's said, right? Anyways, let's continue on. I just thought I'd show you that real quick because he does look like a James Bond villain. But let's get back to this this interesting monologue that Jones is doing.
That's what they look like. That's how they talk. That's who they are. Literal James Bond archetype Spectre supervillains. So let me make the announcement, and it's already all over the place. Everybody's already figured it out. I wasn't ready to hit it yesterday because I wanted to spend hours last night and hours today going over it. And I've overdone it as usual. I've got hundreds of documents, studies, all the damn proof here. And when I'm sitting here reading this in private, I mean, I'm not even angry at these people anymore. My cells, my guts, my brain, my soul is, you're going to stop these people, Jones, or you're to blame.
Stop these people, Jones.
I'm pissed at myself when I'm reading this because I've got clips of Gates bragging last year that there'll soon be smallpox and monkeypox and giggling and laughing and say the next pandemic will be far worse. Then they put in all the orders for the new monkeypox vaccine. Biden just bought tens of millions of doses yesterday, and then magically, right on time, right as the vaccine's delivered, monkeypox pops up in more than 20 countries, all over Europe, all over the U.S., all over everywhere, where you have people taking AstraZeneca, and J&J, ladies and gentlemen. Because what is AstraZeneca and J&J? They're virus vectors that inject the genome of a chimpanzee into your cells and then orders your cells to replicate under those orders. Using a virus to deliver the package.
No. Okay. All right. Let's stop there real quick. There's a lot there to unpack, right? There's a lot there to unpack. So let's just go back to what he was saying before that. All right. So I think he was talking about Bill Gates said the next pandemic will be smallpox. So let's bring that up real quick. So, and let's switch over to back to the browser. Bill Gates, sorry. Terrorists could wipe out 30 million people by weaponizing a disease such as smallpox. Okay. And it reads, a bioterrorist attack, which could wipe out 30 million people, is becoming increasingly likely because it is easier than ever to create and spread deadly pathogens, Bill Gates has warned. Okay. Mr. Gates, whose charitable foundation funds research into quickly spotting outbreaks, said it was more important than ever to help foreign countries monitor diseases to prevent global tragedy. All right, well, I mean, we also have a clip of him saying that as well. So let's bring that up. Boom.
So the next epidemic is unleashed by a quirk of nature or the hand of a terrorist. Scientists say that a human-to-human transmissible pathogen could kill more than 30 million people in less than a year. That's whether it's a form of flu like 1919 or a terrorist engineered form of smallpox. A disease like that will become an unstoppable epidemic if they get started in countries that are completely unstable and don't have functioning health systems. So a health crisis somewhere in the world can become a health crisis everywhere. We can't build a wall to hold back the next global epidemic.
Oh, that was back in 2017. And he doesn't outright say, the next pandemic will be smallpox, And the most recent clip that everyone has connected to with Gates saying the next pandemic is going to be smallpox, is this clip right here.
Pretty dramatically. And so I'm hoping in 5 years I can write a book called, We Are Ready for the Next Pandemic. But it'll take tens of billions in R&D that the US and the UK will be part of that. It'll take probably about $1 billion a year for a pandemic task force at the WHO level, which is doing the surveillance and actually doing what I call germ games, where you practice. You say, okay, what if a bioterrorist brought smallpox to 10 airports? How would the world respond to that? That there's naturally caused epidemics and bioterrorism caused epidemics that could even be way worse than what we experience today. And yet the advances in medical science should give us tools that we could do dramatically better. So you'd think this would be a priority. The next year will be where those allocations have to get made, including this global pandemic task force. The nice thing is a lot of the R&D we need to do to be ready for the next pandemic are things like making vaccines cheap, having big factories.
Okay. We're done there. Maybe I'm misinterpreting what Bill is saying, but I'm not sure how everyone is connecting this clip with him saying smallpox would be the next pandemic. I mean, I guess he said or gave smallpox as an example, but I mean, him bragging about smallpox, like Jones was saying, I just don't see it, So I'm going to say Jones was wrong about that, kind of, and we're just going to give him a ding. So his record now through this rant is now 3-for-1. So on to the next thing he was saying. I think it was Biden buys a whole bunch of vaccines for monkeypox. And as soon as it comes in, it spreads to more than 20 countries. So here's another article to kind of show what he's talking about. U.S. buys millions of monkeypox vaccines as Massachusetts man infected. And I scroll down here. The U.S. government has ordered millions of doses of vaccine that protects against monkeypox. The news follows the first confirmed case in the States, a man in Massachusetts following an outbreak in the UK. The order amounts to 119 million order for Uranos vaccines, which are used for the prevention of both smallpox and monkeypox. It was announced by biotechnology company Bavarian Nordic, which makes the vaccine on Wednesday. The order will convert bulk vaccines, which have already been made and invoiced under provisions contracts with the U.S. government, into freeze-dried versions which have improved shelf life. The total government contract with Bavarian Nordic amounts to 299 million, which will provide 13 million freeze-dried doses. And here is another article that confirms that it wasn't 20, but it was 12 countries. All right? World Health Organization confirms 92 cases of monkeypox with outbreaks in 12 countries. The World Health Organization said that as of Saturday, it has confirmed about 92 cases and 28 suspected cases of monkeypox, with recent outbreaks reported in 12 countries, where the disease is not typically found, according to Global Health Agency. It's right there. Right? Yep. Like I said earlier, yeah, it may have not been 20 countries, but I mean, he was right. So 4-1 is what I'm giving Jones currently right now. So I don't know why they put the article there after he's just said all that we were just talking about, right? So what I'm talking about, just in case you don't remember, it's where we stopped on. So if we bring that up, just in case health officials confirm first 2022 U.S. case of monkeypox in Massachusetts. He said a lot of stuff, but they chose to bring up this article about the monkeypox cases in Massachusetts. So we're just going to ignore that. All right. But let's get to what he did say that I was baffled about, which was injecting chimp genomes into human beings. No, it's a big claim. I was like, how do you know that's true? Well, hold my beer. So let's see what I have here, huh? Let's pull this up. Ah, man. Adenoviral vector has been employed as one of the most efficient means against infectious diseases and cancer. It can be genetically modified and armed with foreign antigens to elect specific antibody responses and T-cell responses in hosts, as well as engineered to induce apoptosis, I think that's how you say the word, in cancer cells. The chimpanzee adenovirus-based vector is one kind of novel vaccine carriers whose unique features and non-reactivity to pre-existing human adenoviruses neutralizing antibodies makes it an outstanding candidate for vaccine research and development. Jesus. I just don't understand how he keeps this retained in his head. He just fires shit off, right? And you just and most people are like, oh, he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He's just talking out of his ass. Like, obviously he's not. The chimpanzee thing was actually right. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. I got to give it up to him, man. We're going to give him 5-1 now. He was right. He has 5-1, in my opinion, for this argument that he's making, or this rant that he's making. So let's continue on with the rest of his rant here, right?
So, ladies and gentlemen, did you hear what I just said? And we saw this last year. I said Gates is preparing to release smallpox and or monkeypox. Then the...
So, just to let you know, the article he just showed, all right, has nothing to do with Bill Gates releasing smallpox or monkeypox. So let's bring that article. Jesus. This when I'm giving you praise, Jones. You come and fuck me. All right. Get that closed out. Gates germ game warning motivates smallpox vaccine discussion. No, it was talking about a newly developed smallpox vaccine that we could use if smallpox made a resurgence. And I'm not going to go through and read the whole fucking thing. I don't need to let you know that it has nothing to do with him releasing smallpox. It's just somebody talking about how this would develop if this was a thing to do. You know, how it would happen. So I'm going to give him a ding. That puts him at 5-2. So quick fact real quick before we continue on here. I didn't know that we stopped vaccinating for smallpox a little before the 1980s. Kind of odd, right? You'd think that'd be something that we constantly, vaccinate for. But let's continue on here.
FBI in some storage facility at a lab that was shut down find smallpox in a refrigerator. They're just putting that out there. Then
okay. Hold on here. The FBI found smallpox in a fridge. All right, so let's bring that up. Let's see what he's talking about here. That sounds a little far-fetched, right? So, FBI investigating vials labeled smallpox found in a lab near Philadelphia. Okay. The FBI and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention are investigating questionable vials labeled smallpox and found in a freezer last night at Merck facility outside of Philadelphia, according to an alert sent to the Department of Homeland Security leadership on Tuesday night. And shit. Jesus! 6-2. I'm just gonna give him. Jesus Christ, dude. Let's continue on, man. Just throwing it out there. So how do you keep that in your fucking head, dude? All right, let's go. Let's continue on here.
A truck crashes in Pennsylvania with a bunch of monkeys that have monkeypox, and then the woman gets it, but it all gets shut down. Do you believe any of this? Oh
yeah, I do remember that. So we'll bring that up here. So let's get that article open real quick. So, and this was true. And I don't understand why it just turned black here, but let's fucking highlight that so you can see it. Woman falls ill after exposure to monkeys at Pennsylvania crash site. And I believe this happened last year because I remember talking about it on the old show I used to be part of. So, a woman who offered assistance at the scene of a truck crash involving captive lab monkeys in rural Pennsylvania says she has fallen ill after being exposed to the animal's feces and saliva. So, this did happen in Pennsylvania, and the woman did get ill, but it doesn't say that she got ill with anything other than that she got ill. It didn't say it was monkeypox. It didn't say it was some fucking weird, sinus disease or, whatever, coronavirus. So I guess he was technically right? So I'm just going to give it to him. 7-2. 7 for 2. Anyways, let's continue on here, huh?
Truck dumped over. Yeah, that's where it came. So they're laying the groundwork. Gates says smallpox, monkeypox is coming. They start making the vaccine. He says terrorists are going to release it. He's right. He's the terrorist leader, James Bond villain. And then all hell breaks loose right as the UN Global Treaty is about to be signed on to by the countries that puts us under UN control. I mean, it's all premeditated, it's all prepackaged, it's all in your face, and it's all right here. Unbelievable, because the virus they use to inject the chimpanzee ape DNA is what causes smallpox. They're injecting people with a damn smallpox, knowing it would cause smallpox.
Jesus Christ. So I'm just going to say, no, the monkey DNA does not cause smallpox. And I'm going to give him a ding. So 7-3, if I was to be scoring him right now, in my opinion. He's gotten 7 out of 3 wrong. I mean, 7 right, 3 wrong out of everything he said in that goddamn monologue. I'd say that's pretty damn good. And if I remember me saying that he's right 90% of the time, all the time, oh yeah, that would probably put him at a 90%, right? That was the Jones Report.
Oh, what's all this? This is ivermectin for humans that won a Nobel Prize as an antiviral. Nobel Prize winning for humans. Nobel Prize winning for humans. Nobel Prize winning for humans.
The Jones Report.
Yeehaw! Yeehaw! I turned into a Democrat. I took the ivermectin. Oh no, Fauci's right. I'm kind of retarded.
That's a pretty cool beat, huh? I like it. Anyways, that is the show, guys. Thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed the show, please hit the like button and definitely subscribe. If you subscribe, make sure to ring the bell. I upload, once a week. I'm trying to get to twice a week. But you know what? Let's just say I upload weekly. So I don't want you missing when I'm uploading because I'm trying to do twice a week. But it might be once a week. So you never know when I might upload something. Anyways, you can watch the Deplorable Talk Show on Rumble, Facebook, YouTube, and you can listen to the Deplorable Talk Show on Spotify, Apple, Google, and Stitcher. And then you can find links in the description if you want to go down there. You can just head to the website, the deplorableent.com. It's just the general hub for everything. It's like you go there and you just get access to wherever you want to go. It's a good idea. Just head to the website. Get my numbers up. Anyways, thank you for watching, guys. It was a lengthy episode. Next episode will probably be a little bit lengthy too because there's a lot more to talk about. But I will see you guys on the next episode. Thanks for watching.